It's going to be lame if we're like 50 feet away the whole time. All right, so talking about braking, we've already talked about during our riding, whether we're in neutral position or whether we're in ready position, we're using one finger braking. All right. And just the theory behind that, you probably already know this, but why are we using one finger braking? Because we have powerful hydraulic brakes these days.
Right.
You get plenty of power for one finger, and if you were to use two fingers, you have no grip on the bars. I'm not saying that you need to death grip the bars the whole time, but two fingers, I can barely hold on.
Yeah.
So one finger braking, that's pretty simple. Modulation, do you know what modulation is when it comes to braking?
Not really.
Okay, so here's the idea behind modulation. Think of it like a light switch, like on and off, versus a dimmer switch. The dimmer switch,
that's what you mean.
Yep, I can just kind of control the amount of power that I apply to the brakes. The reason that I want to do this is to keep from sliding.
Yeah.
I want to stop. The fastest and most effective way would be to apply the brakes as much as possible without sliding the tires.
So
okay?
you never wanted to, well, I mean, unless it's intentional.
Sure, yeah, unless it's intentional for style or to get around something really tight, ideally, we do not want to slide.
Okay.
We want to be able to brake as much as possible without sliding.
Okay.
That's what we're going to practice here today. So first things first, talking about that modulation. So basically just stand where you are on your bike, grab your bike. Let's start with the front tire. So hold the front brake and pivot the bike until the saddle is in your armpit. Okay, put the saddle actually in your armpit. That way it doesn't flop around. So saddle resting in my armpit. Bam, you got that?
Yeah.
All right, now I want you to try to roll the bike forward smoothly without a jerking motion and put some weight into it. Make it hard. All right, so that fine motion that you're using there, if you notice my finger is only moving like not even a half a millimeter to find that kind of control. There you go. All right, that's smooth, that's modulation, right?
Okay.
And you get an indicator or a cue when you start sliding, hey, that's too much braking. If you need to stop faster, you can apply more brakes. So it's kind of like finding that balance point of stopping effectively versus sliding using modulation. So it's just little fine minute controls there. Same thing with the rear. You can kind of put your chest into your bars with it up like this and try to do the rear. Same thing. So trying to find that fine control without sliding. Learning that modulation. Okay, perfect. All right, so you get the idea behind modulation. It's pretty simple. Let's talk about front brake versus rear brake. Which do you use?
Usually I hold both, but I know front brake is for stopping.
Sure, front brake can be more effective than rear. A lot of people are scared of the front brake, but they shouldn't be. A couple of things. One is keeping your weight low during braking is key, right? Think about what's happening if I'm up tall and I hit my brakes, my body weight shifts forward. It does all kinds of things. When my body weight shifts forward, it also takes my weight off the back tire, which causes it to slide. If I'm really low, I'm very stable. That braking force, that momentum stopping doesn't affect my body as much. So braking low is key, all right? Also, using your front brake heavy. If you're low, you're not gonna go over the bars. Everyone that goes over the bars with their front brake is probably up tall like this, and that's why that happens, all right? Let's practice a little bit of braking and modulation, and I'm going to teach you a couple of techniques that I use. So what we're going to do is we are going to start at the top of the hill and come right down through here. Okay, I'm going to make a line here. Can you see that line okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to make another line here. All right, so the idea here is we're going to get a little bit of speed you're not allowed to hit the brakes until we get to the first line. You have to stop before you get to the second line. All right, here's the kicker. No sliding. If your tire skids, minus 50 points right out of the gate. So, all right. Woo. Barely. Nice. All right. I would say 100 points for getting that stop dialed without skidding, minus 50 for the fall level. Good job.
Let me try it again.
I could tell that your modulation was dialed there. All right, let's go one more time. Nice. All right, perfect. Okay. So that's using both brakes equally, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's ideal. That's what you really want to be doing. You can use more front brake. It is a little bit more effective. But if you're using both brakes equally, that's ideal. So okay. That's great. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit more about technique. So I think you're already doing this. So I'm going to just touch on it briefly. To stop more effectively, as I start to apply the brakes, I drop my body weight even more and I move my body weight back. Mm-hmm. Now the key thing here is to drop the heels. So if I'm pushing through my heels, that's transferring the weight to my front tire so that I'm getting that front brake effectiveness. Okay, here's what it looks like. I want you to pay attention to the heels and what they're doing.
Okay.
All right, dropping the heels.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, perfect. All right, that looks really good. All right. Technique number 2 that's really helpful during braking is, all right, let's talk about a scenario where we're coming into a corner and we're coming in fast.
Okay.
All right. What happens if we hit our brakes right in the middle of the corner?
You're going to slide. You're
going to slide out. So in an ideal world, we would never hit our brakes in the corner. We would try to do all of our slowing down before the corner.
Right.
All right. So one way to do this, this is a racer technique. So this is kind of going into coaching downhill or enduro. But I want to make myself the heaviest person that I can be during my braking. Coming into a corner, I want to use all of my braking power quickly before the corner.
Right.
So I'm going to be applying the brakes while multiplying my body weight. All right, so...
Multiplying your body weight?
Exactly, right? How in the heck am I going to get heavier? I'm only like 160 pounds. What am I going to do? All right, think about loading the bike. Think about a preload. You know what a preload is?
Yeah.
Basically, a preload is where you're just loading the bike.
Okay.
All right?
Before the cornering?
Yeah, so exactly, before the corner while braking. Let's talk about it just a little more. If I was on a scale here that was weighing my body weight,
right,
and I'm sitting here, how much do I weigh? 160, right?
Sure.
That's probably inaccurate, man. I eat way too many snack cakes. All right, so what do you think the scale would say if I did this?
What, 200?
Yeah, maybe 200, maybe 250, something like that, if I had to guess, but just for a moment.
Right.
All right. Do you think someone that weighed 250 pounds is going to have better braking abilities than somebody that's 170? I think so. I think their traction's in general just better.
Okay.
So the theory behind this is if I'm only braking for a moment, I want to make myself 250 pounds during that moment. Now I can do this. What's the drawback? Is after that moment, I'm going to be very light. Keep that in mind. Because when I wait directly after that, so I've preloaded my suspension, and then it's going to explode. When it unloads or explodes, I'm really light. That's the bike unweighting.
Right.
So I'm going to be 250 pounds for a brief moment, using my brakes, multiplying my effective braking, and then I'm letting off of the brake and going into the corner.
Question here.
Sure.
So you're saying loading the bike before the corner,
while I'm braking.
While you're braking. So that means when you enter the corner, you're unloading.
Yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, you would come into the corner. Before the corner, you would wait and brake, and then unload, and then you could enter the corner.
Oh, so all these are before the...
Exactly. Everything is happening before the corner. Ultimately, what we're trying to do here is slow down before that corner. All right? Think about a racer mindset. I want to be going as fast as I can, slowing down only for a short period of time to set my speed for the corner, and then I'm done braking, I'm done preloading, I'm going into the corner at the perfect speed. Okay? So what I'm trying to get across here is that you can brake more effectively if you multiply your body weight, only if you're trying to brake for a brief moment. Let me give you an example.
Yeah, please. What the?
All right.
So you were talking about unloading. So what's gonna happen if you fuck it up?
This is the timing thing, right? It's tricky. So if you fuck it up, at the end of the day, you're probably going to be running into an issue where you didn't apply your brakes during that load. Maybe you're still applying the brakes when you unload. So what happens then? When I unload, I only weigh 50 pounds.
It's going to slide, right?
Yeah, you're going to start sliding. So this is all about timing, precision, and braking effectively while underweight.
I see.
I would say give it a try.
Yeah.
Start feeling it.
Yeah.
Interesting theory here.
I've never seen it.
All right, think about this. Forget about the braking for a minute. Let's focus on that preload or that waiting sensation.